Your chest is pressed against a jagged ledge of freezing shale, 10,000 feet above sea level. Directly below you at the bottom of a massive, plunging valley is an armed enemy patrol. Your laser rangefinder pulses and returns a definitive digital measurement, 800 meters. You do exactly what your flat-range training taught you to do. You dial the elevation turret on your optic for an 800-meter shot. You control your breathing, chamber a heavy match-grade round, and press the trigger. The bullet tears out of the muzzle at supersonic speed and violently impacts the dirt 20 feet directly over the enemy's head. The patrol scatters into the tree line, your elevated position is instantly compromised, and you have just failed a critical mission. You did not miss because you misread the wind. You did not miss because you jerked the trigger. You missed because your human brain trusted a flat Earth illusion, and you failed to calculate the deadly, unforgiving geometry of the mountains. Welcome back to the briefing. If you are newly assigned to this operational grid, let me establish the baseline. I am a retired officer from the United States Special Operations Community. I spent the better part of 2 decades executing direct action, unconventional warfare, hostage rescue, and foreign internal defense in denied, highly hostile territories that will never officially appear on your evening news broadcasts. Because of the active, classified non-disclosure agreements locked in windowless vaults at the Pentagon, my face remains completely redacted and my name is permanently off the grid. The military gave me a profound, highly lethal skill set, but it took its pound of flesh in return. My skeletal structure is a roadmap of titanium hardware. My joints are degraded to bone-on-bone, and I carry the localized nerve damage of a long, violent career. The Department of Veterans Affairs sends a disability check every month to offset the physical destruction, but I am not here to rattle a tin cup. I am an officer. I was raised to lead, and I firmly believe in working for my keep. This channel operates on a strictly enforced operational trade. I give you the raw, unfiltered, classified reality of modern warfare and elite tactical training. I break down the grueling psychology, the lethal physics, and the institutionalized suffering that Hollywood directors, video game designers, and military recruiters deliberately hide from the public. In exchange, I simply ask for your engagement. You hit the subscribe button, you smash the like button, and you drop a comment down below. That engagement feeds the YouTube algorithm, it keeps this channel airborne, and it allows me to stay fiercely independent while delivering this intelligence directly to you. If you can respect that trade, then lock and load. We have a highly elevated, mathematically deceptive movement ahead of us today. Today, we are completely abandoning the traditional flat ranges of conventional military bases. We are stripping away the predictable physics of level ground. We are traveling to the high-altitude, oxygen-deprived peaks where the United States military sends its elite shooters to unlearn everything their eyes are telling them. We are going inside the Army Mountain Warfare School and the advanced SOF sniper courses to deconstruct the absolute nightmare of high-angle shooting. We are going to analyze dead geometry. To understand the sheer mathematical terror of a mountain sniper shot, you must first understand how gravity acts upon a bullet. When a sniper fires a rifle on a flat, level firing range, gravity immediately begins pulling the bullet down toward the earth at a constant rate of 9.8 meters per second squared. The sniper compensates for this gravitational drop by dialing their optic upward, aiming the barrel slightly toward the sky. The bullet travels in a massive parabolic arc, flying high into the air before dropping precisely onto the target. This flat-range math is based entirely on the horizontal distance between the muzzle of the rifle and the target. Gravity only acts upon the bullet perpendicular to the Earth's surface. But when a sniper deploys to the Hindu Kush mountains of Afghanistan or the steep ridges of the Alps, the flat range ceases to exist. The sniper is forced to shoot from a high peak down into a deep valley or from the valley floor up toward a ridgeline cave. This introduces extreme shooting angles, often 30, 40, or even 50 degrees. And this is exactly where the human brain commits a fatal mathematical error. When a sniper looks through a laser rangefinder at a target located deep in a valley, the laser travels in a perfectly straight diagonal line from the lens to the target. This is called the line of sight distance. Let us say the laser reads 800 meters. The sniper's brain, conditioned by years of flat-range training, instantly registers that the bullet must travel 800 meters, and therefore it will be subjected to 800 meters worth of gravitational pull. But gravity does not care about the diagonal line of sight. Gravity only acts upon the true horizontal distance the bullet covers. Imagine a massive right triangle superimposed over the mountain. The sniper is at the top corner, the target is at the bottom corner. The diagonal line connecting them, the hypotenuse, is the line of sight distance of 800 meters, but the actual horizontal distance, the bottom leg of that invisible triangle, is significantly shorter. If the sniper is shooting downward at a steep 45-degree angle, the bullet is indeed traveling 800 meters through the air. But because it is flying sharply downward, it is only covering a horizontal distance of roughly 560 meters. This means gravity is only pulling the bullet down for 560 meters. If the sniper dials their scope for an 800-meter shot, they are compensating for 240 meters of gravitational drop that simply does not exist. The bullet will fly incredibly high, completely overshooting the target by several feet. To defeat this optical illusion, the mountain sniper must become a master of trigonometry. They must calculate the cosine of the angle. Every modern sniper rifle deployed in mountainous terrain is equipped with a small, specialized mechanical device mounted directly to the side of the optic tube. It is called an ACI, an Angle Cosine Indicator. It acts like a highly precise mechanical level. When the sniper points the rifle down into the valley, a red needle sweeps across a dial, providing the exact mathematical cosine of the angle. If the angle is 45 degrees, the needle points to 0.7. The spotter lying next to the sniper in the freezing dirt must manually process this data on a waterproof notepad. They take the line of sight distance, 800 meters, and multiply it by the cosine of 0.7. 800 multiplied by 0.7 equals 560. The spotter then issues the command, target distance is 800, shoot for 560. The sniper deliberately ignores the massive physical distance their eyes are seeing. They force their brain to accept the mathematical reality over their own visual perception. They dial the optic for a 560-meter shot, even though the target is physically 800 meters away. This mathematical rule applies perfectly whether the sniper is shooting down into a valley or shooting up at a mountain peak. Gravity acts identically on the horizontal plane. You always multiply the line of sight distance by the cosine of the angle, and you always shoot for a shorter distance. But defeating the illusion of gravity is only the first phase of the mountain sniper's nightmare. Once the angle is calculated, the sniper must confront the most chaotic, unpredictable variable on the planet: the mountain wind. On a flat range, the wind generally moves horizontally from left to right or right to left. The sniper watches the grass, feels the breeze on their face, and adjusts their windage dial to compensate. In the mountains, the wind is a three-dimensional monster. The massive, jagged peaks and the deep, plunging valleys create complex, highly volatile aerodynamic currents. The wind does not just move left or right, it moves up and down. When the morning sun hits the bottom of a cold valley, the air begins to heat up rapidly. Because hot air is less dense than cold air, it aggressively rises up the face of the mountain. This creates a massive thermal updraft. If a sniper fires a bullet across that valley, the thermal updraft will physically catch the bullet in midair and push it vertically toward the sky, throwing the shot completely off target. Conversely, in the late afternoon, as the sun dips behind the peaks and the temperature plummets, The heavy, freezing air rapidly sinks down the face of the mountain. This creates a powerful downdraft. If a sniper fires through a downdraft, the heavy air will violently push the bullet down into the dirt long before it reaches the target. The sniper and the spotter cannot simply look at a wind meter in their hands. The wind at their elevated firing position might be blowing 5 miles per hour from the left. But 500 yards out in the middle of the valley, a massive thermal updraft might be pushing vertically. And down at the target area, the wind might be howling 10 miles per hour from the right. The team must read the mirage, the visual distortion of light passing through different air temperatures. They must watch how the dust settles on the valley floor. They must observe the flight patterns of mountain birds. They have to piece together a three-dimensional aerodynamic puzzle, segment the bullet's flight path into multiple zones, and calculate a single unified windhold that accounts for updrafts, downdrafts, and opposing crosswinds simultaneously. If they misread a single thermal current, the mission is a failure. And we must recognize the immense physiological cost required just to put the sniper in a position to take this shot. Mountain snipers do not ride to their hide sites in armored vehicles. They must infiltrate on foot. A sniper team operating in the high mountains is carrying a staggering amount of weight. They carry their primary sniper weapon systems, often the heavy M2010 or the massive Barrett M1 or 750 caliber rifle. They carry heavy optics, spotting scopes, tripods, encrypted radios, extra batteries, cold weather survival gear, and days' worth of food and water. A mountain sniper's rucksack routinely exceeds 80 to 100 pounds. They must carry this crushing weight up vertical, jagged terrain at elevations exceeding 10,000 feet. At this altitude, the air is incredibly thin. The oxygen levels plummet. The body enters a state of hypoxia. The lungs burn, the heart rate skyrockets just from taking a single step, and the brain is starved of the oxygen required for complex mathematical processing. The exhaustion is absolute, the cold is paralyzing. When the sniper finally reaches the vantage point, they do not get to rest. They must instantly transition from a state of massive cardiovascular exertion to a state of absolute surgical stillness. They must drop their heavy rucksack, build a stable firing platform in the freezing shale, and lower their heart rate. They look through the optic. Their brain is foggy from the altitude. Their fingers are numb from the sub-zero wind chill. The spotter calculates the line of sight. They read the ACI. They multiply the cosine. They segment the updrafts and the crosswinds. The dialogue is cold, clinical, and devoid of emotion. Target acquired, man with a heavy weapon near the cave entrance. Distance 950 meters. Angle is 35 degrees down. Cosine is 0.81. Shoot for 770 meters. Dialed for 770. Wind is chaotic. Updraft in the middle zone. Hold low 0.5 mils, hold left 1.2 mils. Holding low 0.5, left 1.2. Ascended. The sniper suppresses the shivering in their shoulders. They time the trigger pull exactly in the natural respiratory pause. The rifle fires. The concussive blast echoes off the surrounding peaks. The bullet arcs through the thin, freezing air, diving steeply into the valley, defeating the illusion of gravity and striking the target with devastating kinetic energy. They pack their gear in silence and begin the grueling, dangerous extraction back down the mountain. So, why are we dedicating this massive amount of time to analyze the trigonometry of high-angle shooting? Why am I giving you the classified breakdown of the Angle Cosine Indicator and the physics of thermal updrafts? Because the dead geometry of the mountain sniper applies directly, perfectly, and ruthlessly to the optical illusions you face in your own civilian life. Life, your career, your business, and your relationships do not operate on a flat, predictable range. Life is a jagged, unforgiving mountain. You are going to experience periods where you are standing on a massive peak of success. You will have money, status, and authority. You will look down at the problems below you, or you will look down at the entry-level people in your organization. Conversely, you will experience periods where you are trapped at the very bottom of a dark valley. You will be bankrupt, broken, or starting completely from scratch, looking up at a massive, seemingly impossible goal towering over your head. Whenever you are forced to look at a problem from an extreme angle, whether you are looking drastically down from the top or drastically up from the bottom, your human brain is going to lie to you. The natural civilian instinct is to trust their eyes. They look at the massive diagonal distance between themselves and the goal, and they apply their standard flat-range emotional math. They dial in maximum effort. They apply maximum force. And because they trusted the illusion of the angle, they massively overshoot the target. When a CEO at the top of a company tries to communicate with a frontline employee at the bottom, they often use top-level corporate logic. They apply too much force. They shoot right over the employee's head, completely missing the mark and destroying morale. When a young entrepreneur at the bottom of the valley looks up at a massive multi-million-dollar goal, they see the massive diagonal distance. They panic. They apply chaotic, desperate energy trying to bridge the entire gap at once. They burn through their resources, exhaust their team, and the project violently impacts the dirt because they overcompensated. The lesson from the Army mountain sniper is that you must calculate the cosine of your perspective. When you are operating at an extreme high or an extreme low in your life, you must pause. You must actively acknowledge that your standard measurement tools are currently compromised by your environment. You have to intellectually detach from the massive distance your eyes are seeing, and you must calculate the true, objective horizontal distance of the problem. You have to ask yourself, am I overshooting this target because of my current elevation? Am I applying too much anger, too much money, or too much force simply because I am looking down at this problem from a place of ego? You must multiply your perspective by an objective fraction. You must lower your elevation dial. Furthermore, you must recognize the invisible updrafts and downdrafts in your life. You cannot just look at the immediate wind in your face. When you are aiming at a long-term goal, there are massive economic, social, and personal currents moving vertically between you and the objective. An economic boom acts as a thermal updraft. It will artificially push your results higher than your actual skill level dictates. A personal tragedy acts as a heavy downdraft. It will violently suppress your momentum. You have to read the mirage of the market. You must factor in these invisible vertical forces before you pull the trigger on a massive life decision. And finally, you must accept the agonizing physical attrition required to get to the vantage point. You do not get the clarity of the high-angle shot without carrying the heavy rucksack up the mountain. You have to endure the hypoxia, the exhaustion, and the cold. You have to do the grueling, invisible work in the dark before you ever get the privilege of looking through the glass. You must become a person who cannot be deceived by illusions. You must become the operator who can stand on the highest peak, look down at the chaotic world, calculate the objective truth, and place the round exactly where it needs to go without letting your ego overshoot the mark. I have climbed those peaks. I have felt my lungs burn for oxygen, and I have looked down through the optic, forcing my brain to trust the math instead of my own eyes. I know the dark, freezing isolation of the mountain hide site, and I know the profound, echoing satisfaction of defeating gravity. This channel is my way of passing that operational fieldcraft directly onto you. We have a massive archive of tactical intelligence left to declassify. In the upcoming debriefings, we are going to break down the agonizing 180 beat per minute biology of the FBI hostage rescue team stress shoot, and we are going to analyze the terrifying mathematics of aerial gunnery, firing from a moving MH-60 Blackhawk helicopter. If this briefing altered your perspective, if it gave you a mathematical framework to correct your perspective and stop overshooting the targets in your own life, then execute your end of our operational trade. Smash that subscribe button. Leave a like on the video. It costs you absolutely $0, but it is the exact logistical fuel that keeps this channel operational, independent, and completely clear of the censors. I want you to drop a comment down below. Tell me about a time in your life when your perspective lied to you, when you were looking at a problem from an extreme high or an extreme low, and you massively overshot the target because you didn't calculate the angle. I read every single comment. I am always evaluating the mathematical discipline of the personnel in this squad to see who has the capacity to earn the mountain tab. Keep your powder dry, check your angles, trust the math. I will see you at the rally point. Out.